welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this evening, joined by Punch, Frail, Moon, and Dom. Dom's going to shave his face live on air.
One would hope, yeah.
He's going to get rid of the entire thing. He's going to pull the lawnmower out and just run it over that terrible beard. For those of you who don't know, Dom and I talked for many years daily, and Dom has told me many times about how much he hates beards and how terrible they are, and he thinks they're awful, and et cetera, et cetera. And then his wife asked him to grow out a beard, and of course you have to oblige when your wife asks you to do, something. So he's growing this beard.
Instead of actually getting her something meaningful or like putting thought into the gift, I just asked her what she wanted, and she said, "Grow a beard." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's okay. That cost me no money." So.
But how long do you have to grow this beard for?
So I've been doing this thing where I don't actually tell people that I have a beard. I just let them see me and then go, like, they have to go through the shock. And there have been a few people who just genuinely walked right by me and didn't recognize me at all, which has been fun. So my youngest brother gets married this year in July. He has not seen me with a beard yet. His bachelor party is later in June. And so I'm going to be going to that. And then he will decide if for the photos, for the wedding and everything, like he'll get to say, yes, you can keep the beard, or no, I don't want you to have it. So that's kind of like the first real opportunity I'll have to either get rid of it or not and everything. Otherwise, like I can't imagine I will keep it for much longer past his wedding if he wants me to have it, because it's already hot and humid in Minneapolis and it's not comfortable.
Yeah, probably the wrong bad time.
Yeah.
Just as soon as winter ended too, because winter ended like what, 2 days ago for you? It was probably 2 feet of snow.
2 weeks.
Sorry, recently.
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
No, it ended like right before Mitch visited. He was here for some work stuff, and he expected to get off the plane to like a whole bunch of like 2 feet of snow and 20-degree weather, and then it was almost 80.
Almost 80.
So it's his fault.
Yeah, but that would feel great, right? Heat index of 102 today. It feels real great down here.
It's toasty.
Well, when you do decide to get rid of that beard, Dom, give me a call, because I think I need to borrow some of it right now.
All right.
For the top of your head.
Want me to just mail it to you?
Actually, yeah, I need your signature too, though. I need to know it's authentic.
Yeah, that's fine.
In a little sack.
I'll get it notarized. We'll do it proper.
Excuse me. All right, let's talk about this, guys. BuddhaBoxers.com/T-Force. Use code TrinityForce for 20% off your order. Comfortable boxers. You guys know that spiel. They are amazing, awesome boxers, especially for the heat going out here. I wear them every single day, and they do me very well throughout the gym and out throughout all the heat in Louisiana. If that isn't the, raving review that you need, I don't know what else to tell you. But so we're going to now transition this over into patch 8.11 from League of Legends. Huge patch. It's the Marksman update patch where they've changed all of that crap. If you guys want to hear more about the Marksman update and a number of the items, please go check out episode, I believe it was 530, I have it right here, 537, episode 537 in the Trinity Force podcast. So 2 episodes ago, we already went over all the Marksman items. We'll probably touch on Stormrazer really quickly on this patch note as well, just because there was one thing that we had forgotten to talk about as we were looking over the items. Other than that, we're going to talk about all the other changes, and you can go back and listen to that other episode if you want to hear about the items and our thoughts on those. So we're going to start right at the top with the champions on this patch. They are getting changed. Anivia getting a change on this patch. Her Flash Frost cooldown is going from 12 to 8 down to 10 to 8 seconds. The damage ratio is being slightly increased to 0.45 ability power.
She's leveling E first?
I think okay. I played Anivia like once. I think Q is the stun.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I hate it when Anivia is good.
I mean, that's pretty nice.
I hate buffs to Anivia.
Anivia's like, I mean, laning against her is like you're just laning against a pushing bot. She doesn't ever try and fight you. She just wants to get her like 4 items and then win team fights. So I don't really like it when Anivia gets buffed. I don't think this is gonna make a huge difference, but any buffs to Anivia are bad buffs in my own opinion.
Not with a 0.05 ability power ratio increase. Cooldown increase is great, and it does make her better, obviously, but without a mana cost decrease or some mana regeneration to compensate for the changes a few patches ago, Anivia still is going to struggle a bit through the early laning phase.
Now, is E the ability, that's the ability that Anivia players max first. Is that also the ability that crits?
That's a stun, or that's a crit, yes, sorry.
Okay.
But it's slowed, yeah.
Okay. So there's no like double 0.05 ratio in here anywhere.
No.
Like this ability doesn't crit or anything like that.
No, it does
No,
do damage
but you
twice,
can.
though.
Yeah, it does damage twice because I think you can hit it and then you can reactivate it to stun early, and that does damage again.
Okay.
I think.
Yes.
So you hypothetically, it's a potentially a total 0.1 buff then.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's not super significant, but it's a little bump. The cooldown is what matters more than anything. It's just a better 1-point skill early now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're shaving off, 2 seconds early, which, it doesn't make or break laning phase by any means, but definitely can help with some team fights or clearing, then moving over to a skirmish or whatever it may be.
Yeah, it helps with their pre-6 wave clear.
If there were matchups that were like, you know what I mean, like on like edge cases where they were really close, this might be enough to swing those. But like other than that, it's probably the same.
Yeah, I don't see any big changes coming out of this. It's probably the same thing here with Graves. Graves getting a change. Base stats attack damage going down to 66 from 69, and collateral damage, the cooldown increasing from 110 to 60 to 120 to 60, getting 10 seconds early.
I say it's not enough.
No, it's
yes, but he's a ranged champion, so you think leaving him in the game is too much.
He's a ranged champions that beats melee champions in melee range. That's fair.
Like he's not reliant.
That's gotta offend you on a lot of levels, doesn't it?
It kind of does. Can we remove this character?
That'd be nice.
This isn't.
Bring back old Graves. That's what we need. Which is not the answer you're looking for, but that one.
I mean, that would be a step forward.
But yeah, I mean, Graves isn't relying on his R, so who cares about the 10 seconds off of his level 1 rank of it? And 3 attack damage, it's not something to ignore, but Graves has got Q for clearing wave or clearing minion camps, and he can always reset his auto attack with E. So isn't gonna hurt him.
His AD by 3 a little bit bigger, like a little bit of a bigger deal for him, just due to the way the pellets work and everything. Like it actually hits damage on a. I mean, doesn't end up being a bigger chunk of damage in theory.
Now I gotta go to the wiki, Dom.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Doesn't
I think that's
all you get hit by all the pellets? It does 66 damage. I'm assuming.
Wouldn't it be more than that? Isn't it? There shouldn't it be 66 per each, and then it doesn't have diminishing returns like
so
a multiple?
No, because then its autos would do like.
It's 70% of his AD at level 1, and it gets up to 100% of his AD at level 18 for the first pellet, and then a third of that damage for each pellet beyond the first, up to a maximum of 140% of his AD at level 1. So, like, this does have some broader implications just because that's every pellet. It's 1 damage off of each of the pellets and everything, but that's going to slow down your clear a little bit.
So, but
I don't think it's gonna be
not enough.
Just to be clear, though, like if you land all 3 pellets on the same target, which in the jungle should be doable because they're stationary.
Isn't it 6 pellet?
Is it 6?
I think it's 6, and if you crit,
It's
it's
4.
4.
It's 4 pellets.
Oh, it's 4. I forget how many. I don't know. I can't count, I guess. But it sounds like it shouldn't be that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like in the jungle.
I'd still ban him. I still think he's gonna clear. Just
for sure.
He's gonna clear super quickly, just like Punch said, thanks to Q. Essentially, the extra auto attacks are nice, but over the course of 10 auto attacks, right? You don't lose. It's not like you're losing a full auto attack and damage.
No, not at all.
So.
Hypothetically, if his clears are too weak, but they don't want to buff his dueling, they could always like change, how the ratio is calculated against monsters. They like to do that for certain characters.
Which would probably be a decent change, but we'll wait and see. The other change here going down is Kazakhs. Thank God they're nerfing this champion, because Void Assault, the cooldown was 100 to 80, is now 100 to 70. Stealth duration is down to 1.25 seconds from 1.5. Evolved stealth duration up to 2 from 1.5. Evolved casts, you get 3 within 10 seconds now. And however, you no longer passively grant stealth or movement speed when entering a brush, and that was the largest change that Kazakhs needed. He got snowballing too hard with an upgraded Void Assault.
I was surprised his ability stayed in the game as long as it did. That seemed overpowered to me the moment they reworked Kazakhs for that to have this brush nonsense. So
I'm surprised that more people didn't pick up on it. He's had this for a whole goddamn season, right? And forever. I think when he first came out, we all said he should
like
be
a season and a half.
Yeah, we should be evolving Void Assault. We should be getting R, doing that right as soon as possible.
Doesn't this just make him stronger in skirmishes? Because if he upgrades it, he has 6 seconds of stealth that he can use like in combat.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's fine. The problem was once
Is
he
that
got
fine, though?
yes, because once he got snowballing, he was able to camp you in your jungle and just
Oh yeah, no,
destroy
I'm
the
not.
shit
I'm
out
not.
of you. So
I'm not disagreeing. I think his old evolved R was broken as fuck, but I don't know if this is the right way of like giving them a different way of using it. I don't know. That's so much stealth you can get in such a short amount of time.
This
It's
champ
sort of
is
me annoyed
always,
like it.
This champ is always a problem. Like he's always a problem.
does it like take him out or stop him from being banned? Not likely, but it does help with the scenarios where his R is on cooldown. It's on a decently long cooldown. It's 100 seconds early, and now he has to use the cooldown to be able to get that stealth to be able to, do anything to you. Like before, he could just go fucking sit in a bush and basically have a ton of stealth and free movement speed. And even if you checked and had the faster reaction time, you're still dead. And now there's some play around to this.
He usually had a bush nearby he could take advantage of, but I guess this is the scenario where like if you've got a team fight in the middle of mid lane, now Kha'Zix is better because he's got no bush to go to, but he can stealth 3 times.
And assuming
Yeah,
it's
and
evolved.
for 2 seconds each time. Like that's
Yeah.
a long time to be invisible.
Yeah, and then it's assuming it's evolved. Like, are you evolving it now? Because you had to evolve it before to get the brush check, right? So
I'm not sure. I don't play Kha'Zix. I don't know what the trade-off would be for evolving something else.
Yeah, I just checked the wiki because I was curious about that too, if the bush is passive or not. But you need to be evolved in order to get that bush
right, I thought so.
invisibility.
Yeah, so now that he doesn't need to evolve Void Assault early, he 100-second cooldown. He only gets 2 charges like he did before. Like I said, the big thing here is that the evolve no longer gives passive stealth and movement speed, which slows down the snowball.
This feels like an older version of Kha'Zix. I feel like we've seen this iteration of his ultimate before.
Yeah, I do too.
It's possible.
So
It's interesting that it gives you 3 charges, but you still have to use it within 10 seconds. I'm surprised it's not like 3 charges within like 12 or 15 seconds when you evolve it. But
I mean, I can see that since like and they're giving you one more activation, so like maybe they would give you a bigger window to use it. But at the same time, like
Fuck that
that's still super powerful. Well, no, I mean 6 seconds of active stealth in a 10-second window is still super crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's still really strong.
Well, it's even longer than that, right? Because you can pop it at 9 and still have the extra stealth. So you could be stealth for there's 10 seconds is a big window to use 3. Either way, we're spending too much time talking about something that isn't going to be evolved first thing anymore. Kindred getting a change. Passive Mark and Kindred. Mark respawn time down to 40 seconds. First Mark spawn at 2:05 instead of 2:20. And that has a bug fix. Assist on Rift Skeleton now appropriately collect marks. They put a little change on her last patch, right? Yeah, they did. They made it so if somebody else kills your mark target, you still get the mark.
And you're nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely
So
can't remember the last time I saw a Kindred.
If you're the Kindred player that just, I guess, farms marks nonstop, then this is for you. hooray, you get more marks. But I mean, you need to be in position and have the opportunity to take the mark within that 10-second window. If you're taking marks on cooldown, this is a buff. But Kindred doesn't have. I mean, most games don't go that way.
Well,
right? You can't just sacrifice your lanes. You can't just sacrifice your lanes and only go for marks. Because if you do that, once the marks start spawning in enemy territory, you've got no lanes to back you up and try and take them.
I feel like the jungles that are strong aren't very conducive to Kindred being good because she has to invade early, but everyone who is like meta right now either wants to invade or wants to fight early, and she's not the best at that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say something along those lines. I feel like the game's just at the wrong state for Kindred to be good, and if there's a more like a more passive version of the jungle, then suddenly Kindred gets way better. But the way things are right now, they just have no chance.
Well, she kind of got stealth nerfed this last patch, the jungle patch too, because they removed that 8% attack speed or so off of Hunter's Machete, and they're not giving her a compensation for it like they are other champions in this patch. So she's not able to attack quickly, therefore not taking camps as quickly, etc. So yeah, she's been nerfed more than one way.
I honestly think the bigger change here is the first mark spawn going from 220 to 205. Now that Scuttle spawns randomly, like and only in one place at 2 minutes, now basically 5 seconds after it spawns, Kindred can decide if she's going to go for that Scuttle and like take that fight, or if she's going to just mark something else to go for like the easy stack.
Right.
Like having that knowledge, she can just be more decisive from the beginning, and I mean that's probably worth momentum. So
wait and see, I suppose. I don't expect big things out of the Kindred change here, but I agree with you. A lot of times I like to look at some of these changes as it's just like a pressure cooker. It's sitting there, it's cooking, and eventually it's going to, the top is going to pop off, and these campaigns are going to come flying out of the gate because of all the changes they had a year ago or 6 months ago or whatever it is. So it's one of those kind of keep in your back pocket. LeBlanc getting changed in this patch. Distortion. LeBlanc can now queue up W. Distortion are mimicked distortion.
Oh, so she can just do it quicker.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Faster burst. That's what we wanted. We wanted more faster burst from LeBlanc.
That's what she was missing, I feel, with the revert. She just couldn't blow people up quick enough. So, I mean, it's probably nice. It probably can get frustrating if you're hitting it too quickly and then it doesn't go off, but
yeah, I shouldn't say faster. I should say more consistent.
Yeah, it's a quality of life thing for LeBlanc players, I guess. Not that they deserved it.
No, fuck this new LeBlanc. All right, Lee Sin changes in this patch. Yeah, old LeBlanc. So Lee Sin in this, they removed recent changes of the Warding Totem and Tracker's Knife have left a lot to be desired for Lee Sin. So they're trying to make some changes to give him a little bit of a boost. One, they're adding the energy regeneration back to his passive. So energy restored on first hit, 20, 30, 40. Or they're giving him more, I should say. Energy restored on second hit is now 10, 15, 20. And they're also making him benefit from cooldown reduction, and that each of his abilities, cooldown reduction, now also applies for the duration of the reactivation time. So you can reactivate abilities faster the more cooldown reduction he has.
Wait, faster, or you have a longer window to reactivate or cast a second time? Does cooldown reduction now also applies to the duration?
I suppose you have a longer duration to reactivate the second time, which would make more sense.
So you can think longer about going in with Lee Sin now. Like, should I dive into their team?
I like this change a lot. I still think without the warding trinket and whatnot, it does make him a little left to be desired. But with dueling junglers doing fairly well right now, Lee Sin, not bottom of the pack by any means. It's just allowing you to do Tempest and then potentially crippling when you want to. I like just for E's sake alone, being able to decide when I want to use the cripple. I don't have to use it so quickly and waste so much of my energy on it.
I would kind of, if this cooldown reduction on the second cast works the way we think it is, I'd like to see Riot do that to more abilities. Let Garen's Judgment last longer if he's got a whole bunch of CDR, if Garen wants it to. Like a whole bunch of the second cast type abilities, everything. I think that would be pretty cool. A different use for cooldown reduction. You have to probably rename the ability or the stat at that point, but fuck it.
So it's just
Sure,
giving
why
them
not?
more time. When I first read it, I thought it was saying that like when you cast Q, the cooldown of when you'll have it back starts before. But I guess I just kind of read over it. That's interesting. They kind of worded it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Or
doing
maybe
this-
I'm just real stupid, which is completely a possibility also.
Or it means like the cooldown of Q1 starts when you cast the ability or something like that. I don't know. I mean, the phrasing on this is confusing, but I'm interpreting it right now as you have a longer window.
But what cooldown
So if you have 40%
reduction?
cooldown reduction, you have 40% longer to reactivate it, essentially. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're getting at.
But what cooldown reduction is Lee Sin even buying besides like?
He has Warrior, he has Black Cleaver, that's 30%. And then he can go Transcendence or he can find 10% somewhere else. So
I mean,
he should at least have 30%.
It's not hard to find CDR in this game.
he's getting 10% off a Warrior, right? And then other than that,
Black Cleaver gives him 20%. And
you're
most
assuming-
places
you're
they're like,
assuming you're ahead if you're going Black Cleaver, right? Because otherwise you're going into something like Dead Man's Plate. So I guess Black Cleaver is the only other piece where he's really getting meaningful cooldown reduction.
I don't know. I feel like at least that's kind of the general build is like Warrior, Black Cleaver, and then Dead Man's. Maybe if you're, I feel like you'd have to be really far behind in order to not get
Duskblade.
Black Cleaver.
Well, I'm looking at it
Duskblade
as
Lee.
a lot of people
Yeah,
are
there you
doing. A lot of people are headed toward Tiamat right now with him, Warrior and Tiamat. Obviously Tiamat early and then into a Warrior so he can clear more quickly and spend more time dueling.
Yeah, but that's the pre-Stormrazer world.
Meh.
I'm so excited for Stormrazer.
Yeah. Still, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't jump on the Lee Sin train anytime soon. Rakan getting a change in this patch. Q Gleaming Quill base heals down to 18 to 120 from 1 to 18. It was 22.5 to 150. Battle Dance base shield has been decreased as well. Was 50 to 150. Now is 40 to 140. Reminder: you can.
Does anybody
cast
play
Battle Dance
Rakan?
twice?
On this podcast?
Nah.
I guess I do, don't I?
Bears does, but he's not here.
Oh.
Bears.
He's a recon. This is man.
Oh, if only we had bears.
Yeah.
Ah.
Bears doesn't like to talk in Slack or show up for anything.
I'm not sure if he has the app downloaded or not.
I
but
made him download it. I told him he's got to fucking download it, and I said you need to start paying attention to it. I was actually very, very nice when I said if you could kindly pay attention to it. But I'm gonna start getting meaner and meaner. The
I mean, what else is there to say? Like he's getting nerfed hard here, or not hard, but he's getting nerfed.
His
Things
laning
that are
will be
keeping other
worse.
people alive. Yeah, I mean,
Well, so he's getting nerfed on the patch that we're moving into. Enchanters and mages supports probably being the top of the pack now, right?
enchanters are already the top of the
Right.
pack.
I understand that, but like they're going. Okay, so the better way to reframe it, to phrase it, is enchanters and mages are already leading the pack, and the Rakan is now getting nerfed, so he falls back further. Like, congrats, Riot. Good job on doing that at in the stage of the game we're at.
Well, Rakan was really good.
Yeah, he is.
Rakan wasn't performing really that poorly.
I'm biased, so I have nothing to add.
He's arranged. No, he's not. He's
Well,
melee.
you have to remember his E shield is also one of the double casts, so that's actually 20 damage because you can cast it once and cast it again. And I think most people max that third, if not second. So that's like for the whole game where you're getting the.
Yeah, the
The
top
nerf.
winningest supports up until Rakan are all enchanters or mages. Soda,
Yeah.
Zyra, Soraka, Morgana, Brand, Fiddle, Janna, and Nami.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't saying he was above, but he was performing fine despite a meta that is very favorable or very really not working for champions that are doing what Rakan is doing.
Right.
He's
Well,
an
that's my
engager.
point. Like, why are you nerfing him right now? Like, he's only at 50.8% in
'Cause I
Plat Plus.
think at the high MMR, he's causing a lot of frustration. This might also just be targeted at the mid lane Rakan stuff that was going on. I don't really know. I mean, he's still got the damage going on there, but if he's healing less,
It's gotta
No,
be high.
I mean his E doesn't. You can't use your. He's not an ability in mid lane, and the Q doesn't make that big of a difference.
all right. I mean,
That's kind of faded. That was like a thing for a week, and no one's done it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
It
Diamond,
is fun though.
Diamond Plus
looking
last
at
7
cheats.
days, Rakan's 51.6% win rate. And that's a good point here in chat too. I wouldn't say Zaya. I mean, yeah, Zaya's. You know what? Actually, Zaya is probably getting big buffs with Stormrazer in this patch. It's not a bad point. All right, let's move on to Talia. I'm laughing because if I remember correctly, these changes aren't that good. Movement speed increased to 340 from 325. Health increased to 532. Rock surfing, maximum movement speed increased from 20 to 40, now 30 to 45%. Combat lockout is only 2 seconds now, so theoretically she should be able to move around the map much more quickly with all these changes. However, threaded volley no longer deals area of effect damage. Minions no longer take reduced damage from additional rocks. Talia no longer gains movement speed when on work ground. Casting Q on work ground no longer refunds mana. However, while on work ground, Q cost is reduced to 1 mana, and the cooldown has been decreased from 9 to 3.
I mean, that's basically so you can be super low on mana and you can keep throwing Qs as opposed to like the whole weird refund nonsense where you can accidentally go. You could accidentally go below, and then you'd have to be sitting and waiting for some mana to kick back in.
I guess the idea is that you should still be able to clear fairly well because minions no longer take reduced damage from additional rocks.
Perhaps.
Since the cooldown has been decreased, you should be able to still clear, but it doesn't sound like you're going to have as great as clear potential as you previously did.
I don't think your clear is going to be nearly... Because that splash damage is so helpful.
Yeah.
Because you can also poke and clear at the same time. That's what's so frustrating about it. So it's kind of weird. They're like, we don't want her to roam as much, but we're making it so if she does roam, she gets everywhere way faster.
Right.
So it's like going both ways at the same time.
Does she not have to take teleport anymore? Like,
she never had to
she,
take teleport.
She uses her ultimate. Oh, okay. I've seen a lot of Talias take teleport. They would use their ultimate to go to a lane and then use her ultimate
like
to
Aurelian
gank a
Sword.
lane and then teleport back to mid, like a Shen would do. Right?
No,
It
'cause,
seems like with so much movement speed now.
It's the same thing with
Why
Aurelian
bother?
Soul because he just gets so much move speed by running a straight line. If she just runs next to train, she never needs teleport. You want to either to have another combat summoner or something because you are a mage with no mobility.
Doubly so now.
I think
15 movement speed.
That's a
15
lot.
base movement speed. Have we seen a buff that big?
And plus 10% at level 1 if you're next to a wall. So she's going to be going so fast.
Well, okay, so yeah, she's going fast, but she has no wave clear now, right? Like, Unraveled Earth, the damage has been significantly decreased. It was 70 to 150. It is now 50 to 150. And that's early between the fact that she's not been able to AoE clear and she can't Seismic Shove into Unraveled Earth to do as much damage as she previously did. She's not clearing as quickly. So,
Well,
granted,
that's the question. Like,
I think the champ... I just don't think the champ's going to be... I mean, I think people could
I think she's
play her,
already
but
not
she's
played a lot.
not really going to be any good.
Yeah, it depends on how, like, it's hard to know how much the Q change really affects her wave clearance. You actually, people play with it and actually see. But I imagine she's going to struggle to just, like, use her abilities and then she can leave the lane because she one-hits the whole wave. I don't think she'll be able to do that anymore.
No.
yeah, if she has to use her Q, W, and E to clear a wave, in order to push a wave quickly in order to go gank, that's gonna be a problem.
I did not
That's
realize.
until you get some mana items at least.
I did not
But
realize how
she can
high-
back early because she can just run back to lane super quickly with her move speed.
Dom?
But she could do that before, and now she can do even better now.
I just didn't realize how high like Vel'Koz and Xerath's base movement speed are. They're both at 340. So is Vigar and a couple other people. I was just curious to see if this put her like as the highest range champion base movement speed in the game. And
Well, this is like
it ties her with a bunch of them. But if you then take her passive into consideration, then she bumps to highest.
This is one of the things where they're balancing her passive with her like base movement speed, so then it's not actually her passive is like doesn't actually do anything early because it's just making her where the other champions already are, kind of thing.
No, she's just right now tied with Vel'Koz and Xerath.
I know, I'm talking about
and
beforehand.
they're all. Oh yeah, I mean now she's just fast.
Yeah, she's gonna be real quick.
Dead champ is dead. Fuck that champion. There's more to her. Weaver's Wall now only lasts 5 seconds. It was 6, 7, 8 with ranks. Now it's only 5 seconds. But dead champ is dead. Urgot base stats. Collision radius has been significantly decreased. It was 80, now 50. Base attack speed has been increased from 0.595 to 0.625. So collision radius make it so he can walk through the minions more easily, allowing him to use his passive more reliably.
Yeah, one of the few times you were safe is if you like really abused positioning in the minion wave. And I mean, you still can, You know, it's not like he can move through units completely, but yeah, that'll make it harder to deal with his passive.
Passive Echoing Flame, speaking of, max damage to monsters was 25 to 365. It is now 60 to 360. Jesus Christ.
Jungle Urgot.
Yeah, that's damage. Well, yeah. Jesus. It could be, right?
Yeah.
Like, he could fight over Scuttles pretty well.
W Purge,
He's
the
pretty
old
strong.
Surge and Purge can now be cast during other abilities. That's his W. And Fear Beyond Death, Urgot is no longer rooted while grinding a victim to its death.
And Urgot is nasty 1v1. I would not want to fight Urgot 1v1 with double buffs at like level 3 or something over a Scuttle. Wouldn't want to do it.
I agree.
If you can proc your pass, that's like so much damage to a buff if
That's
you can get all your passive procs off on it.
Urgot is terrifying once he gets ahead, and it does not take much for him to get ahead.
Did you go over the R?
Yeah, that's a huge, right? Like, he's no longer rooted when he casts his ultimate and starts grinding somebody.
Yeah, I feel like in team fights, if an Urgot was going to make a big play with his R, he always had to flash in before the animation started. But now there's like way less counterplay to it. So I think that's actually a really nice change for him.
Well, it's great because he doesn't really. It's not about flashing in, right? Because if he hits somebody with the R and then pulls them in, he's now able to continue moving toward the fight before he was stuck there until the person was pulled in and grinded.
Well, I guess
Or he can
now
also
he
not-
could
Yeah,
flash
that's what I
in.
was saying.
Yeah,
And he's not stuck taking like a bunch of damage or something.
I see what you're saying. He doesn't have to flash to continue the fight. Is that where you're going?
Yeah,
with
he
that?
doesn't have to flash before the animation starts, so he can then get the fear.
Gotcha.
He can just keep
But-
walking at people.
Okay.
Right, I forget
But
it
I mean-
does fear.
Now he can do both. Now he can move
He can
in
do both.
more range to get the fear in.
That's actually really scary though. Max damage to monsters. Scuttle's considered a monster, right? So he can fucking rip through a Scuttler now. If he can get, he just has to walk around the damn thing and get all his.
I'm
passive
inclined
off.
to let him. I'm not going to fight him off that Scuddler. He can have it.
I'm already scared of Urgot, and I am more.
Yeah,
so.
and his passive's AoE, so you might be able to do the big camps pretty easily also.
Let's talk
Or
about,
the ones with a lot of monsters.
let's talk about Victor, which I don't know why we are, because he's still worthless. Siphon power discharge damage was 20 to 100, is now 20 to 140. Our chaos ratio per tick has been increased to 0.7. Changes still don't matter when his shit costs
It's a
1200.
pretty nice.
Victor still sucks.
Mana
It's a
changes
pretty
hit
nice-
Victor hard, so we're gonna give him more damage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they're going with this. It's a very nice buff to Q, but you can't afford maxing Q like over E. Like the most points you can put in Q is maybe like 2 points in Q, based on the matchup. But you're still maxing E first.
And you still
So
have to
the most you're going to see out of Q is 10 extra damage in the lane phase.
And you still have to spend 1250, or what is it? Yeah, it's 1250 for fucking his upgrade, and you have
The
to
first
get,
upgrade.
You have to at least get the first upgrade because you.
That's his biggest problem.
And that's his big. Yeah, absolutely. He still sucks because of that.
When they make it so his passive builds at an amp tone, all these buffs are gonna be a problem, I think. 'Cause I feel like they're gonna have to do that eventually. Where he's gonna be able to get an amp tome and then go back to lane, then go back and get it.
Well, Victor was
That'd be real
really
scary.
good for a while there, but his passive also cost like 1100 or 1050 or something to pick up that upgrade, which made him as good as all the other champions. But because of the way his kit works, he's actually better than the other champions at that same power spike. So obviously they nerfed it, to what, year and a half, 2 years ago at this point. And I just don't. Victor's a really good example of a champion who is very much gated by what item.
It's a frustrating design thing too, because like you're penalized because they designed this champion to have an item that you buy that makes you specifically more powerful, and
That
it's
you
just
need to
sorta-
buy.
Yeah, that you have to buy, but you're penalized for it. I mean, you're basically penalized for playing Victor.
Right. I wish if they got rid of that item to buy and then like at the third level of E it automatically upgrades or something. Suddenly he would be really good, and then you just can balance numbers instead of having to fucking balance what you're buying.
They did it with
That's just
they did it
Syndra
with
now.
Syndra.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right, they
They
do it with
don't
Syndra.
copy.
But you see what I'm saying? Like you get rid of the fucking stupid shit, just like you get rid of Skarner's crystals, and you get rid of you just get rid of all this extra shit we don't need.
I mean, it's like choosing to be weak, in exchange for potentially being stronger later. If you can make it through, the handicapped early game. I mean, Nasus has the same problem, but I think that they've addressed his early game to a point where he almost doesn't suffer from that really anymore. Victor, yeah, I mean, I don't think he needs like a rework, but he probably just needs something to smooth him out. Like characters like that just have to come online sooner.
It's just frustrating when they do design things like that that are intended to make a champion unique, and it ultimately feels like a penalty.
Right. All right, let's talk about Xin Zhao. Base stats, attack damage growth down to 3 from 3.3. Audacious charge slow down 20%. It is now 30% slow.
Oh, I like the E change.
Yeah, still really good duelist, though.
Other than that, yeah, he's good.
All these changes are great, but he's still going to be phenomenal. That's like, I don't know if you want to call it pick ban, but I still think he's really, really good and should be being played right now.
I think Zanin and Graves are both pick ban.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So, nothing else to add to that other than still pick ban Xin Zhao, 30%
I think
slow.
it's pretty straightforward.
There are too many pick ban champions.
The 0.3 will affect his scaling, but I don't think you're picking Xin Zhao to scale. You're picking Xin Zhao to win like the first
10 minutes.
15, 20 minutes of the games, whatever.
Out duel the enemy jungle early.
Yeah.
Take the skill down.
It'll be a little easier to get away from his ganks, but I imagine this will still keep you in range to get your third auto off to get the knock up, so I don't know if it'll actually change that much with his gank.
They added a slow to his W, didn't they? And
If you land the second cast, I think it slows them.
Yeah, 50% slow on that. He's got enough CC.
Zyra getting a change on the patch that she's already inherently more powerful thanks to the ADCs being no longer crit based. Zyra grasping roots. Actually, really, I should take a step back and say the ADCs that were strong before are even stronger now, and the ADCs that were mid tier are now weaker. So we'll put it that way. Zyra grasping roots, root duration up from 0.75 to 1.75. It is now 1 to 2. Which, thank you.
That's a big deal
2-second
in the early
root.
game.
I didn't know that scaled. Probably
I
should
mean,
know that scaled, but
it's a quarter of a second across the board, but like that's a big deal early on.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially when you have
At that point,
champions that are doing
yeah.
damage earlier.
If that 0.25 seconds means that her plants get another auto attack off, yeah, that's gonna be
Another
a
auto
a big deal.
attack, or like it's the AD carry getting into range to get the auto attack or the ability off versus them being just outside of it or something. Like there's a decent chance. I mean, it's kind of Morgana Binding-esque now. It's like you land the root, they're probably flashing.
I agree. All right, Hunter's Machete compensation in this patch. Master Yi and Nocturne. They're lowering their attack damage just slightly by 2, and they are increasing their attack speed by 8%. Bonus attack speed level 1 up to 8%. Diana also getting a change on her E. Her basic attack speed bonus was 20 to 90%. It is now 30 to 90%. So she's getting a 10% bonus at rank 1 if she starts with the E, which I don't believe she was. I think she was starting with Q, right?
Jungle Diana?
I guess
the
Jungle
jungle
Diana.
isn't Q the poke one?
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
Yeah.
if E
In
was
jungle,
getting
she would
attack speed,
take
she's
attack
turning E.
speed.
This is terrifying that they're buffing Yi.
That's only at level 1 though.
So
So I don't think it's gonna make that big a difference.
with the way Yi is terrorizing shit right now.
Nah, I don't.
I think it's marginal at that. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, you can just kind of take that scale and move it just a little bit. Yeah, marginal. I just want to point, we touched on all these items, Stormrazer being the one we didn't really touch on all that much on that podcast, to be fair, on the two episodes ago. Stormrazer being 3,200 gold, 70 attack damage, 30% attack speed, BF sword, pickaxe, dagger. If you haven't attacked in the last 3 seconds, your next basic attack will critically strike for 160% damage, scaling with critical strike chance, and grants 10% movement speed. Now, something we tested before the show is that Gangplank's Q does proc Stormrazor, allowing you to blow up barrels and make barrels crit.
Yeah, I'm real excited for that. It does so much, like, because Gangplank normally would have his really one-hit combo was when you had enough crit where you could consistently get off the extra damage, and now he can just guarantee that with one item. Basically, it'll do a little less damage, but the extra guarantee where you're not wondering if you're going to get a non-crit Q is like a huge buff to him, I feel. And Gangplank's already super strong. So I'm really excited to use this.
And what did you say the cooldown was when you had this and Trinity Force? It was like 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, so it says if you haven't attacked in the last 3 seconds, and that scales down with how much attack speed you had, and I had just Trinity Force, and it was at like 1.57 or something like that. So
that's
I think
a lot of crits.
Yeah, it's a ton of crits, and they're guaranteed crits, so you can like plan around if you're going to get a crit or not, which I think is the biggest thing. Because with old crit, it was always random, and you're taking the randomness out of it, so you're going to have a lot more consistent damage. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play with. He might be broken with it. He might not be, but I think it's going to be something everyone should try out on him at least.
All right, I want to talk about banner command, unless Punch wants to talk more about.
I just wanted to say, I assume we talked about Jin with this item, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's probably the first thing you thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was talking about Dom with it earlier, and since it scales so quickly down with attack speed that might just be able to like auto Q, and then your next auto attack might have Stormrazor back, auto W, and then like you might have 100% crit with just Stormrazor.
I'm trying to figure out how marksmen that aren't like thinking if you have two basic like functionally similar marksmen, I'm just trying to figure out how the one that doesn't buy this item first is going to keep up with the one that does. It just sort of seems like you quickly get a trading advantage because you have guaranteed crits you can play around, plus you have damage and attack speed right off the bat, as opposed to having to wait on other iterations there.
Yeah,
and this item isn't all that expensive compared to ADC items.
It's 100% efficient. It's 100% efficient before the passive.
And I feel like this has the potential to be a lot like when Duskblade was real broken last patch. Or not last patch, last season, where I think everyone will get it, and they're going to have to figure out a way to change how it works somehow to make it not so broken. Because I think this item, of all the items they changed, besides maybe Essence Reaver, has the potential to be incredibly broken and abused by a lot of different champions.
It just seems like your rush item to me. I don't know why you wouldn't. But we have an AD carry player on here. Please tell me why.
I'm shrugging. For those of you who can't see me, I'm shrugging. Like at first, I know we talked about it again, kind of like going back to the last show. We talked about Essence Reaver being a really good item and potentially Rush, but really, Stormrazor looks to be the item that everybody's going to want because there's really no reason not to have. It has everything you could ever want on it as an AD carry.
I mean, I can see Essence Reaver on a handful of champions who are like specifically throwing a whole bunch of like Lucian comes to mind for Essence Reaver just because he can pump out way more damage through his spells than he's going to through like being able to cast his spells faster than he would by just sitting there getting one guaranteed crit. But for Caitlyn, she doesn't give a shit about Essence Reaver.
Can Diana use this in a weird way where she pops our ultimate and then starts flying around the map with fucking lightning speed?
Essence Reaver?
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't use anything else of that it builds out of. She doesn't want the attack damage. So I don't think she will get that now.
I think
it's like wasting all of the stacks just to get the passive.
Yeah, I mean it's not bursty enough for her.
That's fair. It's fair. There's no extra crit or attack speed or anything good on it. And lethality. We had already talked about Brawler's Gloves and all that stuff, so again, I'm just going to skip over that because I want to talk about Banner Command as well. They are removing the cooldown reduction in Banner Command. It no longer grants the affected minion 100% immunity to magic damage. It now grants the affected minion 70% damage reduction from champions. Other than that, it's just other little quality of life tip changes on it. The allies can see floating combat numbers of the damage dealt by banner minions, and banner enhanced minions now appear as slightly larger minions on the minimap.
What's it build out of now, then?
Same shit.
Then that's a weird nerf.
Do you just lose the cooldown reduction?
Never mind. You know what? I was thinking it built out of a glacial shroud. It built out of a raptor cloak, so it was just getting.
Oh, okay.
The completed recipe was just getting extra CDR.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then that puts it more in line with Locket at least, so that you don't have this a whole bunch of tank stats and CDR while you're at it.
I think they changed this from what had been on the PB, because I think it used to be where they were just giving minions extra resistances, but making it like a flat 70 damage reduction will make it a better all-around item, especially if you're behind, instead of just giving them flat like 40 MR and armor, which I think is what they were doing when they were first thinking about reworking it.
I like that change a lot. It always bothered me that Banner of Command was an item that was heavy on armor stats, but it was like an anti-magic or anti-mage item from its active standpoint. And to me, that was like a really, it was kind of an identity crisis. Obviously, that didn't matter once they kind of fixed some of the interactions earlier this season. But, you know, it's gotten really good. And this makes it sort of more manageable for everybody to deal with. Well, less for ADs, but
it gets rid of any of that weird ass cheese shit that was going on, like top and mid lane. It's mid Scion was a big abuser of this item because he just pinned the enemy mid laner under their tower and then be able to roam and do whatever the fuck he wanted to do. So it's no longer like a crazy weird rush item. But still, I think 70% damage reduction from champions is good mid to early late, but really just mid game.
Yeah.
That mid lane Scion.
Well, Karma was getting it also. Mid lane Karma was going. Like,
the CDR is the big. The CDR is really a big deal there.
Sorry. Well, talk about an item that's being abused by everybody else but supports, which who didn't fucking see that
Who
coming.
saw that coming?
Vladimir. Cough. Total cost is up to 2250. The build path is now Kindle Gem, Aether Wisp, Fairy Charm. Movement speed down to 5%. Base mana regen up to 100%. Active cooldown up to 90 seconds. So fuck you, Vladimir.
Yeah, a lot of Vlads are getting this first.
Mm-hmm.
And might still be, like, it gives him enough of what he wants that he might still get it later, but I don't think it'll be a rush item anymore.
It's not a rush item.
It probably will go back to proto build.
Yeah, he's going to have to, because you're never going to want to have a Fairy Charm. So you're spending 600 gold or so on a Fairy Charm and plus the upgrade. You don't need the base mana regen. Active cooldown being increased by 30 seconds is quite a bit for an item that you'd rush, and the movement speed being decreased. All in all, everything just says, I don't want this as early as I may previously have gotten it.
Is this more attractive to support?
I don't know if it's going to matter, because
this
cloak is coming out, and he's just going to take that instead.
On certain builds, it can be. This is 20 more ability power if you have an Athene's, and that's significant. I think it's reasonably attractive, though, to a lot of mid laners or something still, just because there's not a lot of mana regen to be found otherwise, and this item now has it.
Yeah, this might actually make it more attractive to Swain, actually. Because he could maybe get this as a first item now, because Swain needs mana in order to like stay in lane for any. He either needs like the Catalyst passive or a Lost Chapter item, because he has pretty hungry mana costs. So this could actually maybe steer it towards Swain instead of Vladimir. I'll have to try that out.
I think the 90-second cooldown keeps you away from that. Go ahead, Todd.
To be honest, like 150 gold nerf isn't really that much, especially for a mid laner. Like, they're not trying not to nerf it too much because they want supports to be able to afford it. But as a mid laner, as like a solo laner, you're not gonna see 150 gold nerf and be like, oh, that's the end of the world. And I don't know, like maybe Vlad specifically doesn't like it. I think Singed could still like it because like mana regen's good on Singed, so I don't really see that as being a nerf. I don't know. It seems like it's fine. Like maybe Vlad doesn't like it because he's resourceless, but it seems like all it did was open it up for other characters, like Dom and Frail already said.
Yeah, that's fine. It should be that way. Like before, it was just strictly Vladimir. So, Runic Echo is getting a change. Lost Chapter, 325 gold is what it was previously. It is now Finished Codex. Mana Crystal, 375 gold. Total cost unchanged. Ability power increased to 80.
It's so much ability power for so little gold.
I think this is just part of the reason they're doing this, I think, is because mid lane smite was a thing for a minute, and now I don't think you can ever do that without having a Lost Chapter passive in the recipe for Runic Echoes.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be part of the reason. It also, that is a lot of ability power. like a
I
10.
know a lot of those AP jungle players were unhappy with the new runic echoes, so this might do a little bit for them.
Incoming AP Amumu, let's go.
APMU.
I was gonna say with the way it is though, those AP champions can't duel as well as all the other ones.
Oh,
are,
yeah.
right? And so
I played
until they fix that other shit with like Graves and Zen and how well they're doing early, these AP champions still are gonna suffer a bit.
Yeah,
I
but
played
like
Amumu into a Graves, and I got Flame Horizons at like 20 minutes. It was absolutely terrible. He was just constantly in my jungle.
I mean, to that point, I think most AP jungle players understand that as something that they were like getting themselves into in the first place. But when the first item you have to buy feels shitty to get because you have to have 1,300 gold, as opposed to everyone else who's like at the 1,000, 1,100 mark, that extra 200 gold makes a big difference in the early stages of the game. And so going down to what is Fiendish Codex, 900?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Going down to a 900 gold Fiendish Codex feels a whole lot better for that type of champion.
Sure. Hey, Victor says hi about having a shitty first back. That costs a lot. Changes on this patch to runes minion dematerializer. The initial delay has been increased to 240 seconds from 155 seconds, which I'm really sad about because you were able to use it on the first cannon minion wave essentially, and now you have to wait.
It's so much longer.
What is that? The whole 2 more waves? 2.5 more
Might
waves?
be 3.
3 waves? Yeah, 3 waves.
That is a really long time. Don't love that change, if I'm being honest.
No, not great.
Fine with me. It's a dumb rune.
Oh, it's awesome for mid laners. It's phenomenal. How many cannon minions? Can you just get every cannon minion for free all the time or be able to clear a backline?
No, you do. What I normally do, 1 on the front, 1 on cannon, and the rest on the back line.
Right.
Increased interaction with your fellow lane opponent.
Exactly.
Let's fight over this cannon minion and use our dematerializers at the same time.
That's literally what would happen, though. The first cannon would come, and it's almost always like synchronized. Both mid laners just mini
Right.
dematerialize the first one.
Sorcery getting a change in this patch. Ultimate Hat is being removed. Nimbus Cloak is being added. Shortly after casting your ultimate, gain 100 movement speed, decaying over the next 2.5 seconds. For the duration of the movement speed increase, you can pass through units. Cooldown is 60 seconds. Unlike other runes, Nimbus Cloak cooldown is affected by cooldown reduction.
So
cool.
all those champions we were talking about using Shurelya's can also take this, and I think it's going to be incredibly strong. So like people like Vladimir, people like Swain or Singed.
Morgana's
Just-
gonna love that.
Yeah, Morgana as well. It's just gonna keep them in range. Because imagine if you're Swain and you proc your phase rush, you get on top of them, then you ult,
Cannon.
and then it's like impossible to get away, especially if you have Rylai's. I think this is gonna be a great rune. I'm real excited to use it.
That's quite the rune.
Man, Victor would love this. If he did, suck.
Almost feels like it should be a keystone.
It does a little
That's
bit.
a lot of power for
It really is.
rune.
It really is. This is going to get nerfed. There's no way they keep this going. Because 100 movement speed decaying over 2.5 seconds is a fuck ton of movement speed to give somebody. All right, Domination. Hail of Blades is new in Domination. If you use this, you gain 50 to... Wait, sorry. Hail of Blades and Ultimate Hunter, those are just new runes, right? They're not keystones?
No, Hail of Blades is a keystones.
Stone.
They didn't do a very good job in the patch. Yeah, that's what I thought. Hail Blades is Keystone. Gain 50 to 100% attack speed for the first 3 attacks made against enemy champions. If more than 1.5 seconds elapses between attacks, this effect will end. Hail Blades allows you to temporarily exceed the attack speed limit, and the cooldown is 5 seconds out of combat. I think if you are a marksman and looking at this, it's a trap. Still. Even with the precision nerfs to fleet footwork, I still don't think there's enough in the domination tree for you to want to go down it to get this item. So I just want to throw that out there. Or get this keystone, I should say.
I wonder if this would have been good on Jhin when Rageblade Jhin was still a thing.
Oh yeah, tons of extra attack damage.
Just multiply, and you can exceed the attack speed cap. So
I wonder if this would be worth it on Jinx just because it ramps her up faster, or if she just opens them in rocket form.
oh yeah, that's
More
an interesting
rockets.
thought. I'm trying to think of because like when you think domination, I feel like most people think assassins or tanks who need
Yeah.
Predator. I can't really think of anyone who this. Maybe
I see
Like,
potential in Master Yi just because of the
Yeah,
5 second out of combat cooldown. I like that synergy with meditate. He can go in and meditate, go back in.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of fighters might be a little more interested in this one. I don't know if it's better than Conqueror, but
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe
But even then, yeah, you're gaining extra attack speed for the first 3 attacks made against champions.
maybe
so-
Darius.
So someone like
Stack
Kale
his
still wouldn't
passive.
like this though, right? Because they would want to use the press the attack. Well, I mean, we still have precision and press the attack to use, which allows you and everybody else to do more damage to the person you're attacking.
I mean,
It's like giving you a different.
The first 3 attack thing is where I get hung up because that's why it screams fighter to me because we have our long-standing 3-hit rule. Like this gives him a chance to actually maybe sneak 2 more hits there.
Right.
Like Xin Zhao actually might be kind of into this because it's going to get his knockup going faster.
What about Echo? Maybe.
I see Jax stacking up his passive in lane and then going in on a champ and then getting another 100% attack speed, or whatever,
Sure.
on
You
top
have
of
to-
his
you-
passive
like-
stacked.
It's balancing it with is it better than Conqueror? I guess it's like more of an early game, rune. I feel. Maybe if you're against a squishier team, you go this.
That's not
Maybe
necessarily
it's-
true as it being early game, because if I can be Tryndamere, for example, and at level 18 I can roll in with 100% attack speed off my first 3 attacks, gain 100% attack speed, you are
Trend only
boom,
needs
dead.
3 attacks to kill somebody.
Yeah, but I guess it
Fly
lets
out
you.
of there and
You can
reset
technically
it.
have like 3.0 or 3.5 attack speed also because you exceed the.
Yeah, and that's my
Like
point.
that.
Like at some point, even if you roll in with 75% attack speed at level, what is it, 14, 15, 16.
Oh, Twitch late game.
You just
with
roll
this
in,
shit.
pop, and you've done what you need to do. So I think there's definitely something behind Halo Blades, but it's one of those. Does it give you enough in the early game with that attack speed to make up for the fact that you could have used Conqueror to win the lane? I think that's the overall hovering question here.
Experimentation is required.
I think it sounds super good on Twitch the more I think about it. Especially like in a late game team fight. That just sounds so strong.
I guess the one spot I keep getting hung up on is that tracking tree. It doesn't doesn't seem like it's especially good for most laners. Zombie Ward, Ghost Poro, and Eyeball Collection. And I guess Eyeball Collection is the obvious one as far as damage goes and everything. But compared to other options in other trees, that specific path feels really lackluster, and you're required to pick one from it.
And that's my problem with the Domination Tree. Domination Tree more than less sucks for anybody who doesn't want like sudden impact or can't use cheap shot. That's why, like with Twitch, right? Like you're not getting anything out of. You don't get anything out of
like
tier
jungle
2.
Twitch, jungle Xin Zhao, you get your knockup immediately.
Sure.
I think it'll be interesting to see who ends up taking it. I think it's definitely providing a different option that's pretty unique compared to the other ones.
Adam, you did make the point that fleet footwork is still really good. That's not necessarily lost if you go with this route because you can get Taste of Blood, which is not the same level of regen, but it's still sustain in lane and everything, and so that shouldn't be really discounted. It's not as safe because you have to hit the champion, but it's still that regen.
Isn't Taste of Blood healing off of your abilities?
Damaging an enemy champion heals you for 18 to 35 based on level, plus 20% bonus AD, plus 10% bonus AP.
That's why I don't ever
Or
fucking
10%
take it, because I
AP.
have to attack the enemy champion to get my.
It's a 20-second cooldown. So, Ravenous Hunter is the one you were thinking of, which is
That's it.
healing off your abilities and
Well,
improves with.
Let's talk about Ultimate Hunter, which is now in this tree as well. We've been talking about other things. You can pick up. Your ultimate gains 5% cooldown reduction, plus an additional 2% per bounty hunter stack. Earn a bounty hunter stack the first time you get a takedown on each enemy champion.
If that sounds like Ultimate Hat, it's because it's
Yep.
pretty much Ultimate Hat.
To be honest, I don't feel like this is like any different really because you're getting 2% for getting a kill, sure, but I used to get 2% every time I used my R before, which would like basically would be when I would get a kill. So like you're
But
getting
it's on
2%.
unique champions though, I think.
Yeah, so you basically get 7% if you kill your lane opponent.
Yeah, so like it's not like drastically different than Ultimate Hat. The only thing that's really different, like Vrail said, is it's unique. So you have to kill. You have to get a takedown on every different character rather than just casting your ultimate 5 times to max it out.
Yeah, this kind of hurts Lux, I think, with the way her ultimate reset works. Because how you used to stack ultimate hat is you just ult the wave and get a free back in. And now she doesn't have that free CDR, just amping up her damage late game with the ultimate reset.
Right.
I like it because there are a number of times where, like, I look at the domination tree a lot as a support player because I really like zombie ward, and so I like being able to now go domination secondary and get the ultimate CDR, whereas in the past I wasn't necessarily able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Are we ready to talk about fleet footwork then? Because it did get a nerf on this patch. The haste is down to 20% and no longer gives additional healing for critical strikes. However, you heal for more if you hit a melee minion. You get 100%. If you hit a range, you now get 20%. It was 60 to 30, and heal ability power ratio has gone up to 0.5 ability power.
You're misreading that, I think.
That's like if you're a melee character or a ranged character, right?
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I did.
Okay,
I did read that.
What?
Yeah. If you're
That
ranged,
makes way more sense.
it's gone down 10%. If you're melee, you go up to 40%, or you go up 40%. I'm sorry, I read that completely wrong.
So this is like a real contender for like lane sustain for top laners. Like I don't know like if it's worth giving up a keystone all game long, but if you're like a melee champ, like this could be a sustain tool for you.
And don't write off the value of that haste. Melee players, like, getting an attack off and getting a burst of speed is a pretty big deal. Just ask Fiora.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a fleet footwork getting a nerf was I think fleet
overdue.
Yeah, it's long overdue. I think it's a bigger deal for those crit ADCs, which are already getting nerfed in this patch either way.
We think. We're not actually sure. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
Could be broken.
So let's talk about turret durability then. Inhibitor turret health down to 3,300. Nexus turret health down to 2,700. Inhibitor turret health regen increased to 15 per 5. And turrets can now only regenerate health up to the top of their current third. So health is divided in thirds. So essentially they're trying to give it to you. So if you can defend your turrets really well, you can continue to keep your turrets because they're going to gain a lot of life back per 5 seconds. Which,
if you can defend 1/3 of their HP, that is.
Right.
Yeah, except for that part. It's like the Overwatch defending a point thing, where if you capture a point 1/3 of the way, you don't lose that progress, you keep the third. The same thing here. If you do a 1/3 of the turret's health and you get pushed off of it, you keep that third chunk of damage done to that turret.
Just the Nexus.
I feel like that's almost better for split pushers.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, why would you nerf the total health? Why wouldn't you just give them health regen and turn it into thirds and then call it a day? Like, why are we taking the Nexus turrets down to 2,700 health from 3,600? Like, it's already hard to defend your Nexus turrets when there's fucking super minions beating on it, and now you're going to reduce the total amount of health by a significant margin by 900 fucking life. That's
I don't know, man.
Life. That's
Maybe
a
want games
lot
to
of
end
life
earlier.
to remove. That's a
Don't give up your
hard.
inhibitor turrets, and you won't have
Right.
that problem.
Well, it regens faster.
I need to back up a second to fleet footwork. I'm sorry. Taste of Blood is now healing you for more than healing 80 carries for more than fleet footwork is at the start of the game.
Uh-oh.
Is it? But Taste of Blood's only if you're hitting enemy champions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the problem. You have to hit an enemy
help
champion.
minions, but I guess so.
Fleet footwork, you can hit anything. So it makes sense. If
I get it. Yeah. But it's still.
It's
It
comparable.
doesn't have to be an auto attack with Taste of Blood, though. You could just cast an ability. If you've got the option to poke.
Oh, good point.
You know.
Taste of Blood's a lot better now by comparison. Like they're a little bit more even. That's a little scary. And yeah, if you hit a champion with fleet footwork, you're going to be healing a lot more, but still.
Let's talk about turret gold. Inner turret local gold reward is 300 gold, up from 175. Global gold reward up to 100 or down to 100 from 125. So in other words, defend your turrets, people, because the inner turrets are going to be a lot easier to take. and
Todd, you're gonna be a rich
and they're
man.
trying to make it so
Split
people have
pushing
more-
is back.
Yeah, they're trying to give more power into individual people. I think that's kind of what they've been steering towards.
You're gonna be a rich man, Todd.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna get that first turret, and I'm gonna have even more gold than I had before.
All right, 3 more changes to talk about. Baron Nashor. I don't have to go over all his stuff. Just he's not going to do as much damage as he was doing at 810. So maybe you can take him a little.
That bitch hurt. I'm not gonna lie.
Fucking
That's so
hurt.
much damage. This
The
whole
question remains: do you stay on Baron or not?
Now you peel off that bitch. You got too much life now.
in solo queue, half of your team stays on Baron. The
Yeah,
other
right.
half goes and fights.
Flip a
That is
coin.
the true answer.
Scuttle Crab respawn time up to 150 seconds from 135. Shrine duration up to 90 from 75. Where's our jungler at?
Cool. Jungler? Anyone juggle?
Just means that people are fighting over the crab less, and when you do get it, you're rewarded with vision for longer.
So, hey, I mean, just fight over it, folks.
Yeah, keep fighting over it. Jungle monster experience. It's all the same at level 1. It's just being slightly increased and tuned between levels 1 and 7. Likely to make up for the fact that Scuttle Crab doesn't spawn as quickly as it did previously, so they're putting some of that experience back into the jungle. And the last thing to bring up is that last hit assistance, and this doesn't really matter for probably most people, but if a basic attack would fail to kill a minion by 4 health or less, it will kill that minion. And they're going to remove this. They're going to take this number down by 1 every single patch over the next 4 patches.
This is in context with the AD carry stat changes, where all the ADCs got their AD reduced by, I think, 4 points.
Todd, you
Yeah, it
had
was
the
4.
best rant about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, dude, it's like training wheels, but I'm not going to get into that.
I'm surprised they gave this to everyone.
I'm not complaining because last hitting's impossible, man.
Maybe top bard will be a thing until these few patches run out.
This actually brings up an interesting point, not related to this one, regarding the ADC stat change. Their base armor is being lowered as well, and some of that's being shifted into their HP. And I don't know if we talked about this last time, but I was having a discussion with somebody, and they think that a lot of people seem to think that lethality items are over nerfed, like the lethality values are pretty low. But some of us think that with the base armor nerf, like by 5 points, and some of that being shifted into HP instead of scaling armor, for example, lethality items are going to be a tad bit stronger against ADCs than they used to be.
We did bring this up.
You want to know my
podcast
conspiracy theory?
that you were on, Todd? That same podcast we brought this up because we were talking about lethality being better, potentially being better on like Jhin, for example, because you'll do more damage to the enemy ADC when you smack them with the lethality.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but yeah, definitely worth bringing up again.
Y'all want to hear my conspiracy theory?
Lay it on
They're
me.
nerfing all the ADC's base armor because they're so committed to the idea that Pyke needs to be successful. So all those ADCs are going to be squishy, and their first time AD assassin support will have so much easier time just one hitting everybody that they just had to nerf all of them. So
but his ultimate does it based on percentage of.
I know,
life
but he still builds
stuff.
lethality, so it doesn't matter.
Why is he building lethality?
Because I'm committed to the idea that he goes full lethality and just
Because they said so.
does not build support shit.
I see. I see.
They want to prove all the haters wrong. All the
Like
people
I
that said
said,
you
it's a
can't have an
conspiracy
assassin
theory.
support.
Conspiracy theories don't need to be fully fleshed out ideas. I'm just saying.
You're right. I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you.
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm with
better
you.
if they have some holes in
The
there.
Summoner's Rift is flat. I understand.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Well, that's it. That's patch
Is it?
8.11. That's done. Yeah, no, Summoner's Rift is flat.
I think it is.
That's my experience.
It's probably just a square, right? I mean,
It's
No.
Summoner's
floating in the
Rift.
air.
it's just a
only has
battleground
2
that people get
axes.
summoned to.
It only
Gotta be
has
like a chessboard.
There are
Isn't it
only
floating?
2 axes in our existence.
Summoner's Rift is floating on top of a sphere.
I thought it was, or at least it's like at the top of a mountain or something. Because if you look off the side, you always see these like dragons flying around underneath
Motherfucker,
it.
we don't even. Ryan doesn't even know what Summoner's Rift is. They don't even know what a
Probably not.
summoner is. Why is it called Summoner's Rift? Summoners don't even exist in the lore anymore, but here we are.
dude.
Wasn't the whole idea that the summoners are summoning these champions so they don't have to fight wars
Yes,
anymore?
but summoners don't exist anymore. They're
They
gone.
realized they broke the lore, and then somewhere in there they added a qualifying statement. They're like, okay, the game and the lore are separate entities now altogether.
Right. They were like, yeah, we realized we fucked up. And they got rid of all like the summoners and shit too, because weren't there like 4 summoners around the Nexus? And then when they did the rework of the map, they got rid of the 4 summoners around holding the Nexus and shit. So it's all gone. They just threw it out the fucking window.
Yep.
Riot logic.
If you were really passionate about this game when it first came out, nobody cares.
And if you're passionate now, no one cares either. That's why no one listens to us.
Oh,
Oh man, that was sad. That took a
That's a
turn
bad
to
way
the-
to
why?
end the
Jeez,
podcast.
man.
Now we get plenty. Guys, thanks so much for listening to the Trinity Force podcast. If you listen, please write in feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. We want to hear your thoughts. We'll start hitting some more listener questions here again. And if that one announcement I made a week ago, just keep in mind that 2 podcasts next week, 1 podcast week after that. Essentially every week that there is a patch note week, we'll be doing 1 episode. And that might change depending on people's schedule, but just to give you an idea, we're going to 6 episodes a month from 8. And we love you all. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We will see you all next week. Peace.
See ya.
Later.
Peace.
Later.